is to lure a shark into a sneak attack, like the surf beach victims endured.
This cage is specifically built with bars on every side except the front, which is all plexiglass. So when I jump in there and float out 30, 40 yards, I'm gonna look like an easy target for these sharks.
People believed great white sharks were the top hunters of the ocean until a fully grown great white shark suddenly vanished. Now, after years of research, scientists believe they have finally identified the mystery creature behind one of the ocean's most disturbing cases. Join us as we break down the real story behind the great white shark that disappeared. The incident beneath the waves. In late 2003, a team of marine researchers working off the coast of Australia captured a powerful young female great white shark. She was around 9 feet long, healthy, aggressive, and already one of the ocean's top predators. The scientists named her Shark Alpha. At the time, nothing about her seemed unusual. She had no injuries, no signs of sickness, and no reason to believe her life was in danger. To the researchers, she looked like a shark that would rule those waters for many years. The team attached a tracking tag to Shark Alpha's body. The device was designed to record everything around her as she moved through the ocean: water temperature, depth, light levels, and pressure. After several months, the tag was supposed to detach naturally, float to the surface, and send its information back to scientists through satellite signals. For 4 months, everything appeared normal. The data showed Shark Alpha swimming calmly along the Australian coastline, diving through cold ocean water, hunting, feeding, and behaving exactly like a healthy great white shark should. Then, on Christmas Eve 2003, everything changed. At around 4 in the morning, the tag suddenly recorded something terrifying. Without warning, Shark Alpha made a violent dive straight down into the darkness of the deep ocean. She plunged nearly 1,900 feet below the surface at incredible speed. Scientists were immediately confused because great white sharks normally do not make such sudden, desperate dives into freezing depths unless something is seriously wrong. But what happened next was even more disturbing. At that depth, the water should have been close to freezing. Instead, the tag recorded an instant temperature spike. The surrounding temperature suddenly jumped from around 46 degrees Fahrenheit to nearly 78 degrees Fahrenheit. That meant only one thing. The tracking tag was no longer in the ocean. It was inside something alive. For the next 8 days, the tag remained trapped in that warm environment while continuing to travel through the deep sea. Eventually, whatever swallowed Shark Alpha finally expelled the device, and months later, the tag washed ashore on a beach. But Shark Alpha herself was never seen again. The discovery shocked marine researchers around the world. A healthy great white shark does not simply disappear without a fight, especially not one that size. Scientists immediately began trying to figure out what kind of creature could hunt and completely consume a 9-foot apex predator. The leading theory pointed towards something both fascinating and terrifying: another great white shark. Not just any great white, but an absolutely colossal one. Experts believe the predator may have been a massive cannibalistic great white far larger than Shark Alpha herself. Great whites are known to attack and eat smaller sharks, including members of their own species. A giant rogue shark would also explain the warm internal body temperature recorded by the tag. If a fully grown great white shark could become prey, then something even more powerful was lurking in the deep ocean below. To this day, Shark Alpha's disappearance remains one of the most disturbing mysteries ever recorded in shark research. The data told scientists exactly when she died, exactly how deep she was taken, and even the temperature inside the creature that swallowed her. But the identity of the predator itself was never confirmed. Somewhere beneath the dark waters off Australia, something powerful enough to devour a great white shark vanished back into the ocean and was never seen again. But what could this predator be? The mysterious predator. At first, the researchers wondered if the tag had simply malfunctioned or broken under pressure deep in the ocean, but the evidence told a completely different story. Marine biologists eventually concluded that shark alpha had most likely been swallowed by another great white shark, but not an ordinary one. The predator appeared to be absolutely enormous, far larger and stronger than the 9-foot shark it consumed. The key clue was temperature. The tag consistently recorded an internal body temperature of around 78 degrees Fahrenheit or 26 degrees Celsius. That temperature stayed stable the entire time the device remained inside the predator's digestive system. Scientists quickly ruled out several possibilities. Cold-blooded deep-sea creatures could not maintain that kind of body heat. Orcas and whales were also unlikely because mammals usually have much higher internal temperatures. The data instead pointed toward a giant warm-bodied fish predator, and that left one terrifying suspect. A colossal great white shark estimated to be over 16 feet long. Experts believe the giant predator attacked shark alpha from below before dragging her body into deeper water. The sudden plunge nearly 1,900 feet down may have been the victim's final desperate movement during the attack. But the mystery became even stranger after researchers examined the predator's movements during those 8 days. The swimming pattern recorded by the tag was completely different from shark alpha's normal behavior. Instead of hunting close to shore, the predator cruised between the surface and depths of around 330 feet. It moved more slowly, smoother, and with far more control than the younger shark ever had. It was almost like scientists were suddenly tracking an entirely different monster. Then came the final disturbing detail. After 8 days inside the predator's stomach, the tag's outer coating was damaged by digestive acids. Eventually, the giant shark expelled it back into the ocean. The tag floated to the surface and later washed ashore, only a few miles from where shark alpha had originally been tagged months earlier. But what scared scientists even more was realizing this was not an isolated event. In 2024, researchers studying a large pregnant porbeagle shark near Bermuda experienced something eerily similar. The shark's tracking signal suddenly changed after the tag appeared to be swallowed by a much larger predator. Scientists believe the attacker may have been either a massive great white shark or a short-fin mako shark. Years earlier, in 2019, researchers from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration captured shocking deep-sea footage while filming sharks feeding on a dead swordfish. Out of the darkness, a gigantic wreckfish suddenly appeared and swallowed one of the smaller sharks whole in a single strike. And in 2013, researchers from the University of Delaware witnessed another chilling moment while reeling in a tagged dogfish shark. Before the animal could reach the surface, a massive sand tiger shark lunged from below and swallowed it completely, even biting through the fishing line. These events reveal something most people rarely think about. Even the ocean's top predators are not always safe. Beneath the surface, there are larger hunters, deeper waters, and creatures powerful enough to turn a great white shark into prey. And somewhere in the dark waters off Australia, the giant shark that consumed shark alpha may still be swimming unnoticed through the deep. But what does temperature have to do with these attacks? The temperature data. The deeper scientists looked into the data, the more terrifying the answer became. Everything came down to one detail: temperature. Before shark alpha disappeared, the tracking tag had been recording normal ocean conditions. The water around her was cold at exactly what was expected for the deep waters off the coast of Australia. But the instant the attack happened, the temperature exploded upward. That single moment told researchers something unbelievable. The tag had entered the body of a living predator, and not just any predator, something warm. This immediately ruled out most creatures in the ocean. The vast majority of marine animals are cold-blooded, and fish do not generate that kind of internal heat. Squid do not generate that kind of heat. Most sharks do not either, so whatever swallowed shark alpha had to possess a rare biological ability. Scientists focused on a special adaptation called rete mirabile, a network of blood vessels that acts like a natural heat exchanger. This system allows certain sharks to trap heat produced by their muscles and keep their bodies much warmer than the surrounding ocean. Only a few shark species can do this. Great whites, makos, porbeagles. And suddenly, the suspect list became very small. At first, many researchers believed the killer was probably an orca. Orcas are one of the few animals known to hunt and kill great white sharks. In places like South Africa, killer whales have repeatedly attacked great whites with shocking precision. Two famous male orcas known as Port and Starboard became especially feared after researchers discovered their brutal hunting strategy. The whales would flip great white sharks upside down, placing them into a trance-like state called tonic immobility. Once the shark became helpless, the orcas would tear open the body and remove the liver. And for killer whales, the liver is the perfect prize. A great white shark's liver is packed with oils, fats, and energy-rich nutrients. In some cases, the liver alone can make up nearly a third of the shark's body weight. Researchers found several shark carcasses washed ashore missing only this organ, almost as if the attacks had been carried out with surgical precision. What frightened scientists even more was how great whites reacted to orcas. When killer whales entered an area, the sharks fled immediately. Entire populations abandoned hunting grounds they had used for years. Researchers observed this behavior repeatedly in California and South Africa. Great white sharks, animals that people fear around the world, were themselves terrified of orcas. At first glance, the orca theory for shark alpha seemed believable. Orcas lived in Australian waters. They were warm-blooded. They could kill great whites. But as scientists examined the tracking data more carefully, the theory started falling apart. The first problem was the temperature itself. An orca's internal body temperature is usually close to that of a human, around 97 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But the tag inside the predator recorded only 78 degrees. Warm, yes, but not mammal warm. The second problem was the feeding behavior. Orcas usually do not swallow entire great white sharks. They target specific organs, especially the liver, and often leave the rest of the body behind. Shark alpha's tag remained inside the predator's digestive system for 8 full days. That suggested complete consumption. But did the depth data even fit? The scary depth. What made the conclusion even more frightening was that every piece of evidence continued pointing back to the same answer: a giant great white shark. Scientists realized the deep dive recorded by Shark Alpha's tag was not unusual for the species at all. Great white sharks are far more mysterious than most people realize. While they are often seen near coastlines hunting seals close to the surface, researchers now know these predators regularly travel into the dark depths of the open ocean. Some tagged great whites have been recorded diving deeper than 3,000 feet below the surface. One famous shark, nicknamed Shaq, reportedly reached an astonishing depth of nearly 3,937 feet during a migration between New Zealand and Australia. That means the terrifying 1,900-foot plunge recorded during Shark Alpha's disappearance was completely within the limits of what a massive great white could do. And the deeper scientists studied great white behavior, the more the mystery started making horrible sense. Researchers discovered that large sharks often descend into deep water after feeding. The colder temperatures may help digestion, reduce stress, and allow them to move undisturbed through the darkness far below the surface. The movement pattern recorded by the tag matched this behavior perfectly. For 8 days, the predator carrying the tag moved calmly through the ocean while the device remained inside its digestive tract. Unlike an orca attack, which usually leaves much of the shark behind, this predator appeared to have swallowed Shark Alpha almost entirely. The evidence lined up piece by piece. The temperature matched a large, warm-bodied great white. The depth matched known diving behavior. The feeding pattern matched shark cannibalism. Everything pointed toward the same disturbing conclusion. Shark Alpha had been eaten by another great white shark far larger than herself. And as brutal as that sounds, cannibalism in the shark world is not rare. Many shark species are opportunistic hunters. If a weaker shark crosses their path, they will attack without hesitation, even if the victim is one of their own kind. Some species begin this violence before they are even born. Sand tiger sharks are among the most ruthless examples in nature. Inside the womb, the strongest embryo will literally consume its brothers and sisters while they are still developing. By the time the mother gives birth, only 1 or 2 pups survive. For sharks, survival has always belonged to the strongest. The deeper researchers explored great white behavior, the more they realized these animals are not simply coastal hunters. They are deep ocean predators, capable of entering regions humans rarely see. Most of their lives are spent in the upper ocean, known as the epipelagic zone, where sunlight still reaches the water and prey is abundant. But they also travel into the mesopelagic twilight zone, a cold, dim region stretching thousands of feet below the surface. This is where Shark Alpha disappeared, a place with little light, little warmth, and almost no witnesses. Scientists believe great whites dive into these depths for several reasons. Some use deep water during long migrations across the Pacific Ocean. Others appear to hunt squid and deep-sea fish hidden beneath massive layers of ocean life. And sometimes they may dive deep to escape even larger predators. Despite their terrifying reputation, great white sharks are not invincible. In parts of the world where killer whales appear, great whites often flee into deeper water almost immediately. Orcas hunt in groups, and even giant sharks know when they are outmatched. But in Shark Alpha's case, scientists believe she never got the chance to escape. Somewhere in the darkness, nearly 2,000 feet below the ocean's surface, an even larger great white shark found her first. Large great whites are capable of deep ocean dives far below what most people imagine. A giant shark dragging its prey into dark, freezing water would explain the terrifying descent recorded by the tag. But how did the scientists crack this case? How scientists cracked the case. Years later, when the documentary Hunt for the Super Predator explored the disappearance of Shark Alpha, the story exploded across the internet. People began creating theories about giant sea monsters lurking beneath the ocean. Some believed a massive squid had dragged the shark into the darkness. Others were convinced killer whales were responsible. A few even imagined some unknown creature hiding in the deep sea. But while the public focused on monsters and mystery, marine biologists focused on something far more important: the data. And according to the data, the answer became surprisingly clear. Scientists began breaking down every clue recorded by the tracking tag during Shark Alpha's final moments. The key evidence was still the same detail that had terrified researchers from the beginning: the sudden temperature spike to 78 degrees Fahrenheit. That number changed everything. If an orca had swallowed the shark, the temperature inside the predator would have been much higher. Killer whales are warm-blooded mammals, just like humans. Their internal body temperatures usually stay between 97 and 99 degrees Fahrenheit. But the tag never came close to those numbers. For 8 straight days, it remained stable at around 78 degrees. That single detail weakened the orca theory dramatically. Then scientists looked at another possibility: giant squid. At first, the idea sounded terrifying enough to capture the public imagination. Giant squids live deep in the ocean, are rarely seen by humans, and can grow to enormous sizes. To many people, they seemed like perfect candidates for an underwater horror story. But biologically, the theory made no sense. Giant squids are completely cold-blooded creatures. Their bodies do not generate heat above the surrounding water. If the tracking tag had entered a squid's stomach, the temperature would have remained close to the freezing deep ocean environment, somewhere near 46 degrees Fahrenheit. Instead, the tag showed a stable, warm environment. That ruled the giant squid out almost immediately. One by one, the theories collapsed under scientific evidence, and every road kept leading back to the same predator, a giant great white shark. Researchers knew that great whites possess a remarkable biological system called the rete mirabile, a specialized network of veins and arteries that traps body heat. This adaptation allows them to keep their muscles, organs, and stomachs far warmer than the icy water around them. It is one of the reasons great whites are such efficient hunters. Even while swimming through freezing depths, a large great white can maintain stomach temperatures between 78 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, almost identical to the readings from Shark Alpha's tag. The match was nearly perfect. Then there was the issue of power. Whatever attacked Shark Alpha had to overpower a healthy 9-foot apex predator in seconds. That required incredible speed, mass, and strength. Scientists estimated the attacker was likely over 16 feet long and weighed more than 2 tons. Not just a shark, a monster among sharks. Researchers eventually gave this unseen predator a chilling nickname, the colossal cannibal. The deeper scientists looked, the more convincing the evidence became. The crew's depths matched great white behavior. The digestive temperature matched great white biology. The feeding pattern matched shark cannibalism. A gigantic great white shark powerful enough to hunt and consume another great white whale before vanishing back into the darkness below. And perhaps the most unsettling part of all is this. The predator was never found. Just 8 days of silent data recorded from inside the stomach of one of the largest predatory sharks scientists believe has ever existed in Australian waters. Somewhere beneath the deep ocean, the colossal cannibal simply disappeared back into the dark. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update.